Okay, so without further ado, if anybody has any questions, just pop it on the chat function or write it down, and we can ask the questions after each speaker, if that's okay. And then we can sort of get through it all right. The chat function is on the bottom of the screen. If you just hover over it and click on it, you can put that up and it'll go to whoever you want it to go to, whether it's me. Claire's just popped in there. Hello, this is the chat. So just pop it in there if you think of anything as we're going along, and we'll go through those after each speaker. So I'll hand over now to Andy, who will try. Are you going to try and share your screen?
I am. There we go.
Thanks, Andy.
Has that come through okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got that. Brilliant. Great. Hello, everybody. Morning or afternoon, whatever we are now, after midday. I just thought it useful. Thank you very much for asking me to come and have a word with you. Obviously, from here in Lincolnshire, I'm just off the A1 at Newark, so not far off the Nottinghamshire border. And I just thought it'd be interesting to have a look at the straw issues we have from an arable sort of perspective. And why it's not automatic that every arable farmer wants to bale straw, because there are lots of issues we have with that. So hang on, I've gone halfway through my presentation. Let's just go back to the beginning. Right, so starting at the beginning, what is the main issue we have, that the main problem that why a lot of arable farmers don't bale straw or want to bale straw is because we have a weed called blackgrass. That is the biggest weed problem and the biggest hit we have to cereal production in the UK. And it is massively resistant to all chemicals apart from Roundup. And this is what a seed of blackgrass looks like. It's roughly the size, or an ear of blackgrass, it's roughly the size of a ballpoint pen, such as that. Now that one ear on that screen there can have 500 seeds in that one ear. And that, when it sheds, then cause massive problems in the soil. Now, one plant can produce over 20 tillers, such as that. So that picture there is from one seed the year before. Now you imagine every ear on that plant producing 500 seeds. You can see how it quickly multiplies. And 100 of those ears per square metre will reduce crop yield of wheat or barley by 1 tonne per hectare. So massive yield reductions. That is what blackgrass looks like in a growing crop of wheat. So you can see it completely takes over the crop. It pulls the wheat crop down so that the wheat crop doesn't yield, and it makes it difficult to combine. That is the result of seed shedding in the soil. That is all blackgrass seed growing in the soil after we have cultivated it, before we plant the next crop. So that is the absolute level of seed return we get if we allow this crop to seed. Now, just going back, the problem we have is when that crop there is combined and put into rows ready for baling, the baler will come in and also will be baling blackgrass seed. That blackgrass seed stays inside the baler, and when the baler then goes to another farm and bales straw, he is actually spreading the blackgrass seed from one farm to another. And that is why often we now see blackgrass has come from Lincolnshire or from Northamptonshire or Nottinghamshire or from arable areas, and that is why it is now spread across to the west of the country onto mixed farms and livestock farms. It starts off here in the arable areas. It's transported by machinery and particularly balers, and this is one of the main reasons why a lot of farmers won't bale straw, because of this problem. So to look into this problem a little bit deeper, as I say, that is the seed return in the soil, and we have to control that before we plant the next crop. So that is why we actually want that to grow before we put the next crop in the ground. So we will spray that with glyphosate or with Roundup to kill that off before we plant the next crop. So one other area that helps us, or that we do for blackgrass, is to drill later. If we drill the crop of wheat later in the autumn to let that blackgrass grow that we've got on the screen there, we want that to grow like that, so it grows before we plant the crop and not in the crop. but you have to drill later. Now, the problem with drilling later is such as we've got this year is the weather closes in and we can't get the crop in the ground because of the wet. That is a field of winter wheat of mine about 3 or 4 years ago that got drilled late. It got compacted when we drilled it because we were trying to control blackgrass. Purely that is the only reason. And obviously that picture on the screen there, that crop will not yield. That is a result of that crop we've just seen. The headland, this is at harvest time. There's virtually no crop on the edge of the field, and all up the middle of the field, you can see damage as well. So again, a very, very poor crop, purely from us trying to control blackgrass. That is the ultimate crop of wheat with no blackgrass growing in it. And that is what we're after. But to get that crop, we have to go through a lot of different measures and a lot of costs to get to that crop. This is a crop of spring barley, and one of our measures of controlling blackgrass is to grow a spring crop, and that will give a decent return. That smothers blackgrass very well. There's a lot of straw in that particular crop. That was taken about 3 or 4 years ago, but it's also very good at controlling blackgrass. The level of detail we have to go to stop this seed from seeding is highlighted on this screen. That little strip of brown, light brown you can see in the middle of that screen is a little strip of blackgrass growing. We will round up that off with a knapsack sprayer. We will not leave that to seed. We will actually take it out with Roundup and kill it and kill the crop as well to stop that seeding. Here is the blackgrass growing in a crop of wheat. You can see at the foreground of this photo, there's 4 ears of blackgrass there, and there's 2 more in the middle of the picture higher up. So that is the type of thing, but that is only very, very low levels. And to remove those, we actually hand rogue here. We get a team in from Lithuania every summer, and we will spend around £30,000 per year on our 1,600 acres. We hand pull every single acre to remove the blackgrass in the growing crop. That is a pile of blackgrass seed that has all been removed by hand. There's my dog Tara at the side, and obviously German Shepherd being a big dog. You can see the pile there, how much we've pulled. And that is out of 160 acre field of wheat. So that is the amount of blackgrass we have pulled. And we've had to pull it to stop it seeding. Another measure we use is we spray off standing crops to stop the blackgrass from seeding. So those areas there would have been too thick to pull by hand. So we go through with the sprayer and spray those patches with Roundup. Again, we have to kill the crop because we can't select and only kill the blackgrass. So all this is for is purely to stop blackgrass seeding. And it's such an important weed for us to control. This is what we have to do to control it. And again, one of the main reasons why a lot of arable farmers refuse to bale straw is because the blackgrass being transferred in the baler from one farm to another. Just for comparison for you to see, that is the sprayer. That is our sprayer we use. It has a 32-meter boom. And obviously the amount of acres we have to spray, that is the type of machine, that's what we use. This is an aerial photograph of the field I showed you a second ago, taken from a helicopter. And this shows how we spray off and control all there. So those yellow areas have been sprayed off with Roundup to stop the blackgrass seeding in the crop. This is what happens if you don't. So this is where I switched off the sprayer too soon on one of those patches. The top half of the screen, and this is the following year. This is seed in the soil. This is all seed rape grown. So the year after this picture here, we then planted the crop with all seed rape. And on those yellow areas, that on the top half of the picture is an area where I sprayed the crop off, and on the bottom of the picture is where I switched the sprayer off too soon. And that is the level of seed return we get in the soil. And you can again see why blackgrass for us is so important. This is us with the combine this last harvest chopping straw, and you can see at the back it's flying out. It's chopped very short and very small. This is our cultivator. We have a quad track that does all the main cultivations and the drilling of the next crop. And you can see the combine in the background here. We follow up very, very close to the combine. And this is us here incorporating the straw into the soil. Now, the problem reason why we had straw shortages and why the prices have gone through the roof this year for you all is because the crops were so poor. We didn't get any autumn crops drilled last year at all in vast areas of Lincolnshire, Northamptonshire. The weather set in here on September the 22nd, 2019, which meant we could not drill any crops before Christmas. We had to drill spring crops. And spring crops are lower yielding in grain and straw. So we're already going to be faced with a straw issue because we couldn't get the autumn crops in the ground. But then what happened? We then had a very, very dry April, May. And so the crops then started to lose tillers and die off in the field because they were very thin. Now, this is one of our crops of spring barley, and you can see how thin that crop is. And another reason why farmers haven't baled so much this year is because the distance involved in traveling up and down the field with the baler to get one bale is huge when you can see the level of crop we have on the screen here. And this is the problem in the amount of bales per acre. And I know one of my friends is a baling contractor near Lincoln, and his worst field this year, he went in a 40-acre field of wheat and he got 11 bales of straw where he'd normally get about 130. And so this is the problem of why we have got shortages of straw this year. The other problem we had as a farmer, so because the crop there was very thin, and you can see it leaning over on the ground, and you can see the ears of the barley on the floor, after we combined the crop, this is what happened. Because the crop wasn't thick enough to hold it up, we then have now lost lots of grain on the floor. Those are ears of barley laid on the soil that we have lost, and we haven't been able to get and combine and get in the shed. So again, we've lost a lot of profit, a lot of money here. So a lot of arable farmers this year are going to be losing money because of the issues we've just got here. Looking at the value of straw is another important issue. Straw has a lot of phosphate and potash in it. And this is what another reason why some farmers are reluctant to bale straw, because of the value of straw is often not enough when we get paid for straw to cover the offtake of phosphate and potash. Now, these removals are based on a 12-ton per hectare crop of wheat. When you combine grain only, we will be removing about 7.8 kilos per ton of phosphate. Now, that equates to about 94 kilos in total. And at 430 pounds a ton of phosphate, when you're buying bagged phosphate, that equates to about 87 pounds per hectare of phosphate only. Potash, you can see there, I'm not going to go into so much detail now, but the potash element in grain is about 37 pounds per ton. So when you're looking, the total amount per acre, it's cost us for grain only, we've removed about 44 pounds per ton of nutrient in the grain. Now, when you look at straw added to that, there isn't so much phosphate in straw. And so we've only gone up from 87 to 96 pounds in the value of that with the straw added. But when you look at potash, there's a huge amount of potash in straw. And the straw element is we're removing 142 kilograms of potash. When you look at that, that is a total of 80 pounds per hectare. So when you look now, we've all of a sudden, we've gone up to 63 pounds per acre we're removing in grain and straw. And obviously we have to put that back out of a bag. So if you're removing straw and baling straw, you're removing nutrients, and we have to put that back. Now, there's one thing that you cannot buy in a bag, and there's another reason why a lot of arable farmers don't bale straw, is organic matter. We are all trying to improve our organic matter in our soils. We're trying to improve our soil to produce more grain, and we're trying to make it more healthier, make it more resilient, so it's able to withstand the current bad weather that we seem to be getting every year. And organic matter does not come free. You can't buy it out of a bag. There is a lot of organic matter in straw. So that is why a lot of arable farmers won't bale because of that. We also put on sewage sludge. We incorporate that into the soil as well, which will put some organic matter back into the soil. But I just thought this slide is important really to show that just by removing straw, you're not just taking straw off, you're actually taking off nutrients as well, which is really important for us as an arable farmer. Looking also at the level of detail we go to, this is a soil map. Every one of our fields are mapped for phosphate, potash, and magnesium content. And this just shows the variability we have in the field. This is one of our fields. This is a 32-acre field. I know this is a phosphate map. I just hadn't got time to put a potash map together, but we've got this type of thing for every nutrient, nutrient we have. And so this just shows that the different zones that's been mapped, and it shows the nutrient level in the soil, how it varies across the field. This shows here is our clay map, and we've got sand, silt and clay maps. And again, the lighter color, zone A, is our lighter soil, and the darker zone B, has high clay content. So on our soils on this farm, we're very high clay content, very strong soils, in the region of between 45 and 60% clay, which obviously takes some dealing with. But this is the type of detail we go to now to map our fields and keep a check on our nutrient status, and make sure that our crops are producing as much as they can. Also, another thing that I thought would be useful, just to show you another type of detail we go to, is we're looking at costs of machinery. And I know this isn't to do with straw, but I thought it'd be interesting just to show you. When we work out our costs of operating everything and costs of producing a crop, these are the 6 things on the bottom of the screen that I look at. So all those items, whether it's fuel, depreciation, labour, spares and repairs, finance and interest, and insurance, all those things go into the cost of operating machinery. And I'm able to work all these out. So on our quad track, you can see here, this is the level of costs that we attribute to the different machines. And we, on fuel alone, our quad track, 46% of the running costs of that tractor is down to fuel. And on the left-hand side, that's percentages. So we have just under a quarter of the operating costs of that tractor is fuel. And obviously those big tractors will use a lot of fuel. And when you look at the combine, it's slightly different. Depreciation is the highest cost on running up this machine, because obviously a combine does a very little hours a year. It's sat in the shed for probably 11 months of the year. But again, I won't go through the other 2 machines here, but it just shows the value of the level of detail we go to now for managing and keeping a track of our operating costs and machine breakdown. So to move on to the next slide, cost of production as well, another detail we look at when we're looking at the costs of producing crops and trying to remain profitable. There's on this screen here, there is 26 items that I put into cost of production. And the things on the left with chemicals, so herbicides, fungicides, trace elements, all those things we look at growing a crop. Seed, obviously, is an important one. Fertilizer, you can see there we've got sewage sludge, phosphate and potash. Fixed costs, this is an important one with establishment, machinery costs, crop treatment is spraying. Then on the right, we have operational costs. Now, these are things that you might not think they're costing the business or they're costing a crop, but the farm, in my view, the farm bank account pays for those things. And so therefore they should be attributed to every crop. So all those costs on the right, I get together every year with the accountant. We group all the costs together and divide them by the size of the farm. So we get a per acre or per hectare cost, whereas all those others on the left, the chemicals and the fixed costs, there obviously depends on whether it's barley or sugar beet or oilseed rape or wheat. They all vary. But the overheads on the right, I don't know whether any of you are listening on a phone and not on a computer, but the overheads on the right, I've got electricity, property, rent, finance, telephone, subscriptions such as NFU or the CLA, accounting, secretary, professional fees, sundry expenses and machinery hire. Now, all those things are divided out by the size of the farm and proportion to the crop. So just looking at cost of production here for wheat, and again, it's interesting for me to highlight to you the issues we have as an arable farmer. In 2019, our yield, if at the bottom of the screen, our yield, we had one of the best harvests we've ever had. and our winter wheat yielded 11.8 tonnes per hectare. When you look at the total cost of growing that crop per hectare, it costs us a total of £1,282 for 1 hectare to grow that crop. Now, above that is split out all the various things. So we spent £257 per hectare on chemicals, and that's fungicides to protect the crop from disease. That's a herbicide to kill weeds. It's an insecticide to kill the insects that we now get. So again, quite a high cost. Seed alone was £88 a hectare. But looking at the bottom, our costs of producing 1 tonne of that crop in 2019 was nearly £110 to produce one tonne. And we were selling that crop last year for £140, £150 per tonne. So we were making some decent money in harvest 19. But then when you look at harvest 20, and I'm not going into much detail, look at that figure at the bottom. It's cost us this last year £193 to produce 1 tonne of wheat this year. Now, because our yields were so low and because our costs were higher, if you look at our average yield this year, 5.8 tonnes per hectare for wheat this year against 11.8 last year. So we are losing this year in the region of £40 per tonne of growing a crop. And this just highlights the value of doing your own costs and benchmarking your costs and how they can vary from year to year. But it also highlights that arable farming at the moment is not very profitable at the moment with the years we've just had. Looking at spring barley costs, again, I'm not going into much detail, £110 a tonne last year. We had some very good yields of 9.3 tonnes per hectare, whereas this year, not quite so bad as the wheat, we're £132 per tonne. We are actually making some money on the barley because we've sold that at about 150. So the crop yield was lower this year at 7.4 tonnes per hectare, but you can see our cost of production was higher than last year. So again, this shows the value of costings, benchmarking, and looking at what your own costs are. Just to go onto Forage Aid, some of you will have heard of it, 1 or 2 might not. This is the charity I started in 2013 when some of your area and Wales was hit by very late snows in March, and then we were operating in the Somerset floods the following year, and then Storm Desmond up with you. And I just thought it'd be interesting just to give you a 2 or 3 minute update on this. When we were helping in your area, this was Storm Desmond facts in 2015, I think December 15 it started, and we delivered our first load to a farmer on December the 12th, 2015. We had, throughout the whole of the UK, we had 420 lorry loads of straw, silage and hay offered to us to help you in your area and help you through the situation that you were finding yourselves in. Obviously, we didn't move that amount or use that. We actually used 115 loads of straw and forage was moved from various parts of the UK up to your area. And it was literally all over the UK we had offers of help. The total of that amounted to roughly £220,000. And through the generosity of farmers around the country, we didn't have to buy 1 load of that 115 loads. It was all donated for free. And 48 farmers received help in total, which again was really great for us to be able to help people in your area. And a lot of the farmers who donated straw and hauliers as well, we're really grateful and just pleased to be able to help people. We used 19 different hauliers of it. I think, Andrew, weren't you one? Didn't you help in this? Yeah.
We keep coming doing a bit every year.
Yeah, you do. We've got Andrew Woodhouse who's on the call this morning. Paul Winder up in your area does something every year. We've got some really good supportive hauliers and farmers, and it's just great to have this connection and keep going with this, because it's through the generosity and the collaboration with hauliers, with farmers such as Andrew, that if we didn't have that, we couldn't operate as a charity. And the last load was moved on June the 16th, so nearly a 6 month period. And so those are just some of the facts of forage aid in Storm Desmond in 2015, 2016. Where we are now, we're now part of Farming Help, and Farming Help is an umbrella organisation comprising RABI, FCN, and the Prince's Countryside Fund and the Addington Fund, and we're now part of that network. And we we worked in after Storm Desmond. We had some last year. We had some loads. We moved to Yorkshire, to Doncaster, to Lincolnshire. We had some big floods up our way last year, and so we're going from strength to strength as a charity. And it's really great that we're sort of recognised now as one of the main 5 top agricultural charities in the UK. And so thank you for the support, Andrew, and others who've helped us get there. Just to finish on a couple of points, a good slide of mine. It's not a very good picture, but that is Albert Einstein. And his definition of his insanity is doing the same thing over and over again in the hope of getting a different result. I think as farmers, we are notorious for doing this. And with lots of changes around the corner with Brexit, with lots of changes, the government are very unsupportive of agriculture. I know we've got the Trade and Agriculture Commission has just been enshrined into law, which is great. NFU's done a lot of work with that. Minette Batters is fantastic at getting a lot of things done like that. But I think this is a real good thing we need to look at with a lot of issues around the corner. However, to follow and to finish on a positive note, we have got in 1920, one farmer fed 19 people. In 1970, one farmer fed 26 people. The last time I could get any stats on this, 2013, one farmer fed 155 people. So more and more people are reliant on us. So please, if you're doubting whether we're ever going to be needed, if the government don't want us, just remember, no farms, no food, no future. That is the end of my presentation. And if anybody like to get hold of me, any of the queries, anything on the screen you're not sure about, anything I've said, you want a bit more explanation, my phone number there, I'm on Twitter there, my email is there. So please get hold of one of those things. And if you can't write any of those down, I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah, I can get them to you if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, Carol will get them to you. Yeah. So thank you very much, Carol. Yeah. Anybody, any questions?
Couple of quick questions. I would need to keep moving.
You're all right, Carol. I think they were only from me, so keep going if you want. Do them at the end.
Okay. Anybody else? Shout up.
No, so I will.
No. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you very much, Andy. That's been really a great insight into the whole straw production. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'll just hand over to Andrew Woodhouse now. Andrew, do you want to just give us a little update on the situation, or?
Yeah, no problem. Right, well, thanks for inviting me into this meeting, Carol, and I do apologise before we start. I haven't done as much homework as Andy did, so I won't keep you as long as he did. We all know straw's expensive. I think it's the dearest it's ever been since I've been trading straw for 15 years. Andy's gone over most of the reasons why it is, some of the reasons why it's expensive that I was going to go through. The biggest problem I'm having at the moment is sourcing the straw. Like Andy said, the straw isn't there. So I'm having to go as far as Aberdeenshire to get a lot of my straw this year, which instead of bringing it to South Cumbria from Yorkshire, which is a day's work, I'm going to go to Aberdeenshire for a load of straw, which is pretty much 2 days' work. And as you can imagine, that's double the work for each load. It's more diesel, more time. Other years when it's been bad, I've gone down in the south of the country, Essex, etc. It's far easier to get a truck into Essex than it is to the north of Scotland. Scottish people are a bit hesitant at dealing with Englishmen they don't know. It's just all far more difficult than normal. Diesel's a big cost. It's, as you can imagine, it's all set against us. At the moment, straw's trading at about £130 a tonne. If someone was to make an order today, I couldn't promise to keep that price. I would have to put the name on the list. It might be a month, 6 weeks before I could get to somebody, and then I would have to then re-quote because the price of the straw is just going through the roof. And I cannot promise to keep that, my word on a price. I'm doing my best for everybody, where I've got subcontractors in helping me. We're finding loads to every corner we can to find some straw, but it's expensive. There's nothing we can do about it. Every baling man I speak to nationwide has baled about 50% less straw than normal. It's a problem. I'm hoping we won't run out, but who knows? I'm just doing my best to keep my customers happy and keep them in straw. I have made a few more notes, but I think that's pretty much all I can say. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask me. But that's about all I can say, really. It's expensive and it'll take me a while to get to you if you want some. I'll pass you back.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. Yep.
Thanks, Andrew. That was great. Thanks. Just gives us a bit of an idea of what we need to sort of do and how to deal with it. So that's brilliant. Thank you. Has anybody got any questions for Andrew on that? No. Okay. I'll hand over to Liz and Tanisha then from Enviro Systems, who's just going to run over what their products are and what have you. So I'll hand over. Thank you very much.
Can everybody see that? Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you, Carol, for that introduction, and also to Andy and Andrew to give us a background of the reality of where we're at and going to be this winter. So Carol asked me to give a bit of a background. Some of you may know me, some not, but I've been working with paper crumb since 2001. And when we first started making EnviroBed, the big issue was what's it going to be like for the soil. So I've started with that. We'll take the bull by the horns. This is a schematic that we came up with because with farms, it's really all about the soil. Andy's pointed that out to us, how important it is. You can't grow good crops without decent soil. So then it's how you treat the soil. So with livestock farming, if you start with the soil at the top and we treat that correctly, we'll get good grass. That good grass will grow well without weeds in it, and it'll make palatable silage, and that will feed the cow well, and the farmers don't need to buy as much concentrate. So that's milk from forage or beef from forage. And then of course we've got the slurry. So the slurry is quite a key area because bedding, certainly for dairy farms, it's better if they work with cubicles and mattresses and a small amount of bedding, and then the slurry is slurry and it can be pumped onto land. So when you consider other beddings other than straw, which we're having to do more so this winter for the reasons explained, we need something that will break down in the slurry lagoon. And that's where we come on to the paper crumb and fine sawdust and these sorts of materials. One thing that actually governs that healthy soil and this schematic is pH level. It's something I identified a few years ago that, the soil needs to be the right pH to grow good crops. The grass needs to be the right pH and will be if it's grown from the right soil. It's not the same pH, but it's the right pH for grass. The cow's rumen runs at 6.4 pH, and if it doesn't, she doesn't digest forage as easily. And the slurry, we find, needs to be 7.4 pH to be good slurry, aerobic and healthy, and doesn't smell a great deal. So if we go back to the next slide, Tanisha, a lot of this has been discussed already. I estimated that the cost with straw, which nearly agree with Andrew Woodhouse, that I think, £140 a tonne is roughly where it is, 130 to 140, and it's probably going to go up from there because of the situation. That actually impacts on the sawdust availability. And so, you know, in terms of sourcing a suitable absorbent bedding at an affordable price, that's the challenge, because they don't all behave the same and they don't all break down in slurry, and that can have an impact on your farm next year. So for future proofing the farm, it's very important to think what impact I'm going to have with the other bedding I might choose to use, which is a bit of a plug for the straw suppliers, because we know that straw is good for land, whatever the cost. Oh, hang on, Tanisha, there's one last thing on there. We're going the wrong way. So it's about the subsequent impact to soil health. Yes, so we'll go to the next slide. So going back to, as you know, my paper bedding argument, that's the area I've got the most experience in. It really is important when you buy a dry bedding to store it in good condition. This is an example that I came across quite a lot of years ago, where the EnviroBed pile didn't survive the 8 weeks it needed to because there's a hole in the side of the building. The bedding was stored next to the wall. That was next to some feed which got mixed in with it, and there wasn't a concrete floor, it was just a dirt/earth floor. So we ended up with bedding that wasn't in good condition and didn't absorb as well as it should have done under the cows. So that applies to all dried bedding sources, that and to straw, of course, as well. So if we go back to the next slide, Tanisha. So the challenge livestock farmers have, because I'm wearing the livestock hat, in terms of production on a livestock farm, you have to have a healthy environment. And with regard to dairy farmers, moisture poses the biggest health risk to cows lying in cubicles. And there's a very well-known dairy cow vet called Neil Howie, and he did this slide. Cows can spend up to 14 hours a day lying down. So the impact of the cubicle environment on mastitis levels is hugely important and can often be underestimated. No matter this is Neil's words, no matter who has the responsibility of managing the cubicle beds, whether it's the boss or the farm lad, this is a job that must be undertaken to a very high standard. So poor cubicle hygiene poses a high health risk to cows. A constant awareness of cubicle environment has to be maintained, and it's important in overall dairy herd management to be fully recognised. So this, you know, with the background of the high straw prices, and then the rest of the bedding tends to be higher because there's more demand for it and not enough of it, farmers really shouldn't be thinking of skimping on this. It is unfortunate, but it's necessary to keep up this health standard. There was an interesting fact that Neil brought to us, which is that based on mastitis levels in many herds, when set against the standard national expectation for mastitis count, the standard national expectation was 50 cases per 100 cows per year, which is absolutely huge. So there's a lot of room for improvement, and if you get cases of mastitis, that's a high cost to a farm. So the bedding, considering buying a good bedding that does the job, is well worth it. So the alternatives are sawdust. It is highly variable in quality, cost and availability. Wood chips, which would be for loose house cattle only. Shavings and other wood byproducts, there is a big variation in that cost, £50 a tonne for green sawdust up to £200 a tonne, and probably more for the very best shavings. There's our dried paper bedding, which is EnviroBed Premium. That's ideal for cubicles and loose housed animals. That's always 95% dry matter and is really absorbent, so it's very healthy for cows. And then paper crumb, comfy crumb. This is a new product that we've started doing this winter. It's ideal for beef and young cattle in loose housing situations, and that will come at 62% dry matter. So with EnviroBed Premium, we've got some nice pictures of cows here looking all nice and clean and comfortable. It's available in bulk bags and tote bags. It's highly absorbent at 95% dry matter, and clean cows lead to healthy cows, lead to clean milk and more milk sold. So it is ideal for cubicles. Back in 2001, when we decided to do this, the objective was cubicles. It was even before mats were introduced when we started EnviroBed, and we used to just put it straight onto the concrete cubicles, and it created a base layer that was more warm and comfortable for cows. And then mats came in, and that was another good thing, and it saved bedding usage. So the ideal usage for cubicles and dairy cows is 1.5 kilos per day. And the daily cost for 100 cows is around about £14. This is to the postcodes of the farmers that are joining us today: Cumbria, North Yorkshire and County Durham. So this is new from Enviro this winter. We're very proud of this product because we realise it's all very well having the top flight product that costs lots of money, but certainly for beef animals and young stock that are kept in loose house situations, they do need more bedding and they use more bedding. The reason cubicles were started in the first place for dairy cows was to actually help reduce bedding usage, and it did, whilst keeping the cows clean and healthy and safe. But for young stock, and beef cattle, there's no better system than loose housed. So this product, Comfy Crumb Plus, is for beef cattle and young stock, anything non-lactating. It's ideal for loose housed cattle. It's available in bulk loads, Arctic tippers and 8-wheelers. It's 62% dry matter paper crumb. Every load, and this is the important thing, because I am aware there's other firms that do this, every load is brought to you direct from one of our specially chosen paper mills, which provides high fibre crumb that is fresh. The emphasis here is fresh. It will come to the farm fresh from the paper mill. A lot of paper crumb is piled up on yards and on farms, and it does tend to degrade, which isn't helpful when you're using it as a cattle bedding. Even if these animals aren't lactating, it still needs to be healthy bedding. So it all comes to you fresh. We can deliver in multiple loads if you're setting up your beds and you need a couple of loads into the building. And also it breaks down in the slurry really well and spreads really easily. So the price to the postcodes of DL and CA would be £25 a tonne for full Arctic loads. It'd be more for 8-wheelers, and £30 a tonne for DE, which is County Durham. So that we believe, well, we're finding it's very, very affordable and farmers are using this. I spoke to one farmer this morning who's a Comfy Crumb customer, and he said he's had his cattle on this. You'll see some pictures. In fact, if we go to the next slide, Tanisha, these are his cattle. He absolutely loves this product. So the ones on the picture on the left is a new bed that he's put down. The picture on the right has been used for quite some time. And he has got a little bit of straw in with the picture on the right in that group. So you can mix this with a bit of straw if you want to. Comfy Crumb is more absorbent than straw because straw has the waxy layer and it doesn't disintegrate and compost and go smelly like straw does in a deep bed. So it does work quite nice as a combination. So a quick instructions on how to lay the deep beds. They need to be 6 to 12 inches deep. If you start with a shallow surface, it will dry out on the surface from 62% and go a bit drier, which is helpful. That makes it more absorbent again. We can deliver multiple loads in a day if you want. The bedding definitely should be deep enough to allow the urine to soak to the bottom, leaving the surface dry. So don't put too thin a layer on, it won't get the benefit. And it can be used in conjunction with a straw bed if you want. So some farmers aerate these beds. They have a sort of a rake thing which they go through. So you can just actually loosen up the surface and get some more wear out of it. It's a really good, strong, usable product. And it absorbs ammonia from the urine, which is quite useful. It makes a healthier environment for the cattle. So we go to the next one, Tanisha. So that's everything I have to say about the 2 beddings we have to offer for the 2 situations, and hopefully you'll find that of interest and give you a bit of comfort that along with the straw, which is, you know, always value for money, whatever the cost, these are things that can work alongside or help you this winter with your economics of looking after your cattle. So Tanisha, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Liz. So another solution which can save bedding usage by 20% is Cumbria, which Envirosystems has brought and launched in the UK this winter. So Cumbria is Europe's only registered microbiological biocide consisting of 22 different strains of bacteria. It's been used successfully by approximately 180,000 cows throughout France. And what Cumbria does is it's able to create a positive environment for the livestock within the bedding and within the air in the housing by the good bacteria outcompeting the bad bacteria. And these are the bacteria strains which cause mastitis, digital dermatitis, fowl and hoof rot. And the good thing about Cumbria also is it saves time on farm, as you only have to apply the treatment once a week. So Cumbria is very selected to the bacteria that it outcompetes, and it does this so that it's able to multiply faster, filling the space quicker, pushing out potential bad pathogens. Now, traditional methods that are currently used on farm tend to kill all pathogens, good and bad, and that can result in the stronger, more dangerous ones surviving. By using Cumbria also, it will reduce antibiotic use by having reduced cases of mastitis, digital dermatitis, hoof rot and fowl. And it will also enhance nutritional value of the slurry by improving the N value, because you're putting good bacteria into your slurry, which is then spread onto the land, which then benefits the soil. A big thing also is that it promotes drier bedding, achieving bedding usage savings of up to 20%. So this can be used alongside all other bedding products apart from sand, just due to the nature of sand, the bacteria can't breed and populate. So we have a lot of farmers using it with straw. So looking at a few usage and costs on cubicles, the use of Cumbria once a week is 200 grams a cow a week. So that works out 500 kilograms for a 6-month period over 100 cows. So that results in 40 pence a cow a week and 5 pence a cow a day. Now looking in loose house systems, we use 400 grams per cow per week. So again, over a 6-month period of 100 cows, you'd need a ton or 1,000 kilograms. This results with 80 pence a cow a week and 10 pence a cow a day. And you can also use it in calf pens. So you'd need 100 grams a calf a week, which is 20 pence a calf. Oh, there's an error there, isn't there? 100 grams a calf a week, which is the cost of 20 pence a calf a week, looking at it over 100 calves. And this results in 2.5 pence a calf a day. That's meant to say, sorry. So what a user of Cumbria has to say, we do have a video, which I think the link is being sent around for everyone to view, which is Tom Pemberton. He trialled and tested our product during the winter last year and had really good results in terms of mastitis, found it very easy to use. He's also gone on to it this year and has a short video clip of around 2 minutes just discussing the benefits that Cumbria has brought to his farm. But overall, Cumbria supports cow health, cow welfare, straw and bedding savings, nutritional improvement of manures and environmental management. Has anyone got any questions?
I mean, Carol, is it possible just to try that video from your end?
I'll try it, yeah.
Do you want me to stop sharing then?
Yeah, please, Tanisha, thank you.
Stop sharing. Oh, there's a lot of questions there.
12 questions.
1 sec. Oh God, I've got about 3 things up now. I'm not sure if it'll work because we've tried doing these videos before, guys, but I can email it round for you.
That's going to be the best. It's
think
definitely
it's
worth watching.
Yeah,
It's
I'll do that. I'll do that as soon as I've finished. I'll email it round everybody.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. It was just
It's such a cutting edge product, this, that even if it doesn't apply to some farmers, it's a fascinating how much biology we can apply to farming now to enhance the situation that we're in, needing to produce more food for less money and keep cows healthy and land healthy and everything, and allow us to make money, farmers and everybody. So, and you know, this is a very cutting edge product.
Some stuff. I think Ian Sedgwick had a question. Is it suitable for sheep? The paper bedding?
Yes, it is. I'd go with the dried paper bedding. With sheep, they're fine on it, but if you're lambing sheep, what you do is use the EnviroPed Premium underneath a layer of straw, because when they use lamb, the straw is a better material for them to actually clean the baby lamb and lick them better. But as far as an absorbent layer underneath sheep, it is really, really good, really good.
Yeah, Claire wonders if you have any data on the bedding breaking down and when it's applied to the land due to high carbon content. Well, it's not suck lots of N out of the soil during break.
Oh no, yeah, it's a really good. Is it possible to just share that biocircle, Tanisha, again, the first slide? If we could just do that, it will show you what.
Yeah, I'll just get back to that.
Paper crumb has not a very good reputation because traditionally it was spread directly to land, and then too much of it went onto the land. So we've got our biocircle here, and where paper crumb was, it used to be put on, was just straight onto the land. Now, because we use paper crumb as bedding under the cow, and then it goes into the slurry lagoon, it sits in the slurry lagoon for a number of weeks. You've got a lot less paper crumb anyway, because it's the dried paper crumb. You're only using 1.5 kilos per cow per day. So actually, I have got some data which shows a dairy cow will use 45 kilos, I know it a minute, 450 kilos over a 12-month period, which that's half a ton. So there's hardly anything in comparison to the 20 and 30 and 40 tons an acre that used to be spread. It's a tiny amount, and that amount goes in at the slurry lagoon stage, and it breaks down in the slurry lagoon. And in the slurry lagoon, you've got a lot of urine, which is very high in ammonium N, and that is rapidly utilized in the soil. But the soil often needs organic N, which is what Andy referred to with his organic matter. So what EnviroBed does once it goes into the slurry is mix with the slurry, change that ammonium N into more of an organic slow release nitrogen, because it's mixed with the organic high carbon in the bedding, and it still stays liquid, so the farmers can still pump it onto land. It goes on very easily, and it's absolutely ideal for the soil because it's got high carbon, which soils often are short of carbon, and the nitrogen has been saved from the urine because of the activity within the lagoons. So it works really well. We've got 20 years of experience of what happens on these farms and the dairy farms that have used EnviroBed for many years, and it's only been helpful to the system. But I can send this data to you if you wish. It's not a problem. I could send it around.
Really useful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, thanks very much, Liz. That was really insightful. Thank you. Colin, are we all right to hand over to you? Are you okay? Shall I put that information up on my screen?
So do I need to do anything now on the? So can everyone else see the leaflet that I sent? Or
if you like. So is that the one you want, Colin?
yeah, that's the one. I mean, hello everyone. Anyway, thanks for everyone that's spoken. It's been interesting there. Yeah, obviously we at Quattro here, we do all the rubber matting and the mattresses that cover pretty much, you know, all size cows, you know, to the larger dairy cows, down to sort of sucklers and beef cattle. I wouldn't really suggest that the rubber mats are an actual alternative to bedding, but what they definitely do is help to reduce the amount of bedding that you would need, and you know that obviously then reduces the amount of time it takes to look after the bedding side of it. And what we find is there's lots of different ways to bed up, and there's so many different things out there on the market where you're basically do the rubber matting. So when it comes to what type of bedding and everything, we tend to leave that to the people who know about that sort of thing. But the rubber mats there, I mean, we see it, the top one there, we've just gone down from the luxury mattress. That's the most comfortable bed, and normally this is how we grade what type of matting or bed that we put into a cubicle is what the farmer's priority is. So you know, if you're largely milking cows and comfort is your priority, then the luxury mattress is the one that we would recommend to you. That has like I've actually got a sort of a sample here. I don't know if you can actually see it that well, but basically it's like a foam that's enclosed in a rubber cover. So obviously the foam's there, that's all completely enclosed, so no moisture and anything can get inside there, and that provides the comfort part of it. And then the cover that goes over the top, obviously that's what we try to get there, is something that's hard wearing and is going to last like a minimum of 10 years. It has like a texture on it, so it holds the bedding onto the cubicle space without being too rough that it would actually sort of damage the cows in any way. And like you can see there, going down this sort of the data sheet we have there's a few different options. Once we move off the mattress, we start getting onto some of the rubber mats that we use. So these come in various different widths and different depths, and have different sort of ways that join together, where the mattress there is really designed to go in long one run and be completely sort of sealed within itself. You can see going from left to right there, the interlocking edge there is a 3'9" mat. So what we try and do is get those to link up underneath the cubicle bars, and the honeycomb section you see there is for comfort. So ideally that wants to be where the cow's going to be lying. The mat next to it is pretty much exactly the same, just has a straight edge on it, but that's designed for a 4-foot cubicle. But all these mats, really, at the end of the day, what they're doing is providing more comfort for the cows. They're helping to reduce bedding, they're making the cows warmer, they're impervious, so no water actually soaks into them. And the idea, mainly for us, we look at the bedding side of it, a lot of it is to soak up any wetness. That would be the main reason you'd use bedding onto matting rather than deep bedding onto a rubber mat as well. So obviously we kind of feel that the less bedding used, less the easier it is to look after, and the less chance of any diseases breeding there, and there's no sort of nooks and crannies in the mat that they can actually seep into. But all these, when it comes to trying to decide which sort of matting to put in, like I say, comfort can be a big factor in it. But then obviously we have these mats that are more mid-range, where they're not as comfortable, but they'll last longer and they're better on price. So it works both ways. The mattress there is most comfortable. It would have the least lifetime out of them all, but would be the most expensive. Whereas the mats, do cover full-size milking cows as well as right down to sucklers. They're sort of mid-range price-wise, but longevity, lifetime-wise, durability, they would last far longer than a mattress. We even go down to I don't actually think it's on the data sheet, but we do have a mat that's just an 18mm thick rubber sheet that's ideal for young stock and beef cattle, because they don't actually need the same comfort systems on the mats that you see here on the data sheet there. I have got a piece of that. It's obviously a little bit difficult here with the thing, but you can see the profile of the mass on the camera, and it is just basically an 18mm thick sheet of solid rubber that you would pin down at the front end of the cubicle, allow them just to flop into the cubicle, and it's easy to lift them, flop them up and down to clean out underneath. Obviously price does come into effect. You know, you're ranging from £31 a mat for the 18mm to £45 a mat for any of the mid-range rubber mats, up to £75 a metre for the luxury mattress. Fitting wise on all these products, mainly the mattress is the one that needs to be fitted probably by, well, it's the one that the most knowledge about fitting mats you'd need someone who knew what they were doing really. It's not rocket science, but there is a process to it. When it comes to the mats, really all we recommend is pinning them at the front so they don't slide backwards into the cubicle. But then again, we do deal with a lot of different people that have a different idea on how things would be fitted. So we do just give a basic recommendation. But the main thing for us is keeping the mat in place in the right spot on the cubicle bed. All the rubbers are of a high quality rubber. They're all manufactured in factories in India. We buy them in specifically to last a certain amount of time. Obviously, you get different situations on all farms, but generally we have very few problems with those mats as far as lifetime, as far as stretching and bellying up and stuff getting underneath them, causing more problems than what's necessary. So we've sold the same things for it's 25 years now that these products have been with Quattro, and we've never really felt the need to change them to make them any better. We just look at it that we've got the top end range in the luxury mattress, we've got the mid range in the rubber mats, and then if you just need something to take the animal off the concrete, we have the 18mm mat, which is just ideal there as a base sort of rubber matting. I don't know how much depth I can actually really go into on the rubber side of things as an alternative for bedding. Really, it's something that would go along with a good bedding, you know. So the rubber mat side of it is probably, yeah, exactly just what I said there. Something that goes together. If the bedding's right and the rubber mat or the mattress is correct, then you're going to find a clean bed, a comfortable bed that has benefits to the cows and the farmer. So really, yeah, like everyone else, if there is any questions that anyone wants to follow up on anything I've said about those, or if anyone wanted more information as far as data or any sort of samples or anything like that, I'm sure Carol could share my information there to get in touch with us personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you need, just give us a shout and I can pass it on to Colin and the team at Quattro. That's absolutely no problem. Has anybody got any questions for Colin about that? That's brilliant. Okay, thanks very much, everybody, and I really appreciate.
Thank you very much.
All the speakers that have come on today. It's been really interesting, and it's given us a nice sort of interlude in what else other options we have available to us as well. So just a huge thanks to everybody. Thank you. Just a small kind of thing, really. The Prince's Countryside Fund have actually funded this meeting today, which has been really helping us kind of get the word out to farmers about, you know, different issues that have been occurring since the COVID-19 outbreak. So we have been doing a series of these meetings. We are planning on doing another bedding type meeting in a couple of weeks' time, which Claire and I are kind of still formulating a bit of a plan for as well. So we're proposing that on, was that the 20, what was it, the 2nd of December? Was it, Claire?
On 1st of December, hopefully we'll
1st of
confirm.
December.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so look out for that, and we'll advertise it in the same way again. So I just think we'll call it a do. I think it's been really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, give us an email back or a phone call or whatever, and I'll get in touch.
Thanks.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Carol.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Liz and Tanisha. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Colin.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Mandy, is there any questions I need to answer by email, do you think, from the chat?
I think Liz, if maybe we could get a little bit more information on the breakdown of it in loose housing.
And I'll send it to you, and then you can send it
and then I
round.
can distribute it round. That would be brilliant. Thank you.
Right, will do. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Bye all.
Bye.